involved in this business to do. Yeah. And by the way, I am picking every factor here. So there might be slightly reasons we got involved in this business. By the way, if you got involved in this business just for money, probably you should have got involved in another business. All right, there are easier ways to earn money, but we will talk about that as well. Okay, so this is the basis of this. I'm going to talk very quickly about some of the global updates so you know that where you are and that you're not alone on this. Then we're going to look a little bit at some of the advantages of running with this program. Many of them will be familiar, but there's a few little interesting things about, for example, what's the value of a child to your club? How much money actually does a child generate for your club each year? When that kid walks through the door, what are they actually worth? It's an interesting sum when you start adding it all up. Looking also at the advantages in terms of how we develop a program, what it means for us as coaches in terms of wanting to develop better players. Because there are only three real drivers for us as coaches. I'll tell you what they are in a minute. But then also I want to finish by giving you some cautionary notes. The proliferation, the kind of expansion of 10 and under tennis means that sometimes things aren't done in the way that they should have been done. Okay, so I want to just make sure we're thinking about those things before we leave this session. And then this afternoon on court with Espen, we're going to go through some of the kind of, if you like, standards that we're looking for within the program. So I think most of these things we know already. There's a rule change as of last year. Everybody knows about that. It's been a lot easier to implement in Norway than it has in some other places. All right, so that's worked really, really well. It's provided lots more opportunities for people to play the game, which has opened up this whole area of competition and what competitions are. Yeah, competition's quite inherent in the human condition. It's quite part of whatever we do every day. When a kid says, "My dad's bigger than your dad," yeah, or in England they say, "My mum's bigger than your mum," or where I come from they say, "My mum's got more tattoos than your mum." All right, but basically, competition is something we always do. All right, it's something that is part of the human condition. It's just a question of what degree we do it. Yeah, it's a different degree system. So competition is not damaging for a child, for example, if it's the right kind of competition. And that's kind of links a little bit to some of the things Anne was talking about. Our challenge now has been to develop a greater understanding of what it is to be a child. I always say we don't teach tennis, we teach kids. Yeah, in other words, we have to understand who the kid is, how they learn, and therefore how we behave and what we do in order to get that learning to happen. And that's no different whatever we're doing. And that's required us to have a new set of skills, to also work with new partners, like parents. Yeah, remembering that parents are the ones that pay your mortgage, pay the bills. None of them have 666 in the middle of their head. You know, but actually parents all want to do the best for their kid. So it's understanding the condition that is being a parent. Some of you have got a head start because you are. Some of you are too young, hopefully, to be parents. All right? And also a need for quality, because there's a great deal of difference in being a university lecturer to being a primary school teacher. But that doesn't mean you wait until they get to university before you give them an education. So there's always a need all the way along to ensure that we're doing the right thing for the kid at the right time. And I always say, I'll hold my hand up and say for at least 2 kids, and possibly the kids I've taught, many more of them would argue that they should be in the category as well. At least 2 kids I can look back and say, I got it wrong, I didn't do it right, and as a result of that, that kid doesn't have the skills that they should have. Okay? Okay, so a little bit of a global picture to start with then. These slides are courtesy of the ITF, so I'll just make that really clear to start with. And they just show how red, orange and green has changed in Europe in the last 5 years. Okay, so to start with, in 2007, those were all the countries that were doing red tennis. They either had a formal program or they were at least running competitions. As of 2012, that number has increased markedly. Yeah, so if you want to go back, it's all that bit down the bottom where the sun shines. Yeah? Orange tennis has gone from that to that. So we managed to get all of the bit in the middle. The Icelandic people up there still need to pull their finger out a little bit. Move on, yeah. And interestingly, green tennis, which looks very much like that. The lighter area doesn't show well on the slide here, but the lighter area is yellow. All right, has now gone from that to that. So pretty much now, at least because of the 10 and under rule change, obviously, but within the framework, the whole of Europe is at least doing green. What that means for us is, you know, for Norway as such, and I've been working the project for a couple of years, we were a little bit ahead of the curve, got involved in this quite early, along with some of the other countries, but now pretty much everyone's doing it. What it also means, though, is you're not alone in understanding that this is pretty much uniformly accepted as a way of going forwards and teaching. So, having said that's the sort of European picture, that's the global picture that's picked up, let's look at the advantages that we've already seen and been involved with red, orange and green. And when I sort of talk to coaches, I sometimes see that face, yeah, and I always work on 3 drivers. There's 3 things to the secret of happiness as a tennis coach. Doesn't matter who you are. And if we tick all these 3 things, and I want to show you that we do tick all these 3 things, then pretty much everyone should get pretty excited about the program. All right, the first thing is everyone has to make money. And I'm really looking at that as the program making money, and therefore everybody to be substantiated within that. Okay, so we're going to show you that this is a healthy way to actually generate an income, sustain a good living, and therefore hopefully not have to worry about that. If you don't have to worry about that, then you can get on with focusing on your education, being a professional, and doing a really good job. And there have been times in my career as a coach where I haven't been earning enough, and therefore I haven't been able to focus on the other things that I wanted to do in order to make myself a better coach, because I've had to churn the hours out on the court. Right? We all, as well, want respect. We want people to think that we do a good job. Doesn't matter who we are. So that's the other driver. There'll be a lot of coaches out there who say, you know what, I'm not worried about money. I'm comfortable in that area. But what I really want to do is I want people to understand that I'm a good coach and I work hard every day. And at different times of your life, you need outside feedback on that. And at other times of life, perhaps when you get a bit older, you can look in the mirror and go, yeah, okay, I'll do a good job. And then the other thing is, we don't want this to make our lives more complicated and more difficult. So if you like, speaking to any coach, speaking to anyone in our industry, if you said, right, this thing is going to help you generate an income, make you a better coach, or produce better results for you, and it's not going to take you a load more hours, or a lot more time, or a lot more energy than what you're already doing, then pretty much most people say yes. That's pretty much a human condition. If you say to somebody, okay, I'm going to make you money, I'm going to make you look good, and I'm going to make your life easier, who's going to say no? Okay, so basically, if you remember that all the way through, if you've got any people that you need to get on board, you are obviously, we're preaching a little bit to converted because you're here, but maybe there's some junior coaches back at your club, or assistants, or other people that you're working with. Remember those 3 drivers. So if you look at the financial one, we understand that obviously we can get more people on the tennis court, but what we're starting to see as well is a new model that's emerging for coaching, especially at red level. The model that's starting to emerge is, rather than having one coach with 4 kids, it's one coach and several assistants. And those assistants can feed balls and organise and structure activity, whilst the coach moves from court to court using their eyes to give feedback and analysis and make corrections. So effectively, assistant has a trained mouth, and the coach has trained eyes. And if we look at those figures, those are just based very simply on some ideas, if you like, in pounds, because I never quite understand Norwegian krones. It seems to change every time I come. I'm not sure if you're getting richer or we're getting poorer or what's going on, but it always seems to be different maths.